What's up, everybody? John Danes Digital here. I hope you're doing super well. What you're about to watch is an exclusive interview I did with one of my clients. His name's Tom Hayes, an awesome guy, an Amazon FBA seller and educator. Dude did six figures last year. He's a tank. What we talk about is the three things you're going to need to start a successful marketing agency in 2020. Okay, if you don't lock these three things down, it's going to be very hard for you to make 5, 6, 7 figures a month with your marketing agency. So I really hope you enjoy. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what your favorite takeaway was. Make sure to subscribe. Give me a like. Touch that bell button too, if you don't mind. Turn my notifications on, and I hope you enjoy.
All right, guys, what's up? Another YouTube video today. We have John Danes with us. John, thank you for being willing to do this.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
Absolutely. So if you don't mind, for those of people who don't know you, and they should, but if they don't know you, give me a little bit of a background. Where did you grow up? What was your education like? What were you like as a child?
So basically, I was always a really super outgoing child. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and it's one of my best friends. I've known him since I was a kid. And I got expelled from high school, and I'll get into that in a second. But I remember asking him, dude, if you had to pick one person I went to school with, they would be doing like all kinds of cool stuff and just wouldn't have been following the regular path, like who would it have been? And he'd be like, dude, it was hands down would have been you, just because I've always been an outgoing person. I've been just fun and crazy, not because I'm like a super smart person, because a lot of times that's not the smartest choice, but just I've always been a fun, outgoing guy. So got into high school, didn't really like it. And my fun and outgoing started to become a little bit much. So I ended up actually getting expelled from high school in 10th grade, about halfway through the year. And when that happened, I was just like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do here. So I got into I was homeschooled. So when you're in 10th grade and you're homeschooled, it's not like traditional homeschooling. You're literally teaching yourself the whole curriculum. So my mom was busy. My dad worked. So my mom wasn't going to sit down with me and teach me all this schoolwork. So I was just given the assignments and I just did the work and got it done super fast. My brother and I have a brother who's 28. We were talking the other day. He's like, dude, I don't know how you got a high school diploma. Just because it was like, I finished the school work really, really fast and I didn't go a lot. So it's lucky that I'm lucky that I got a diploma. But, basically I was always really intrigued and fascinated with rare sneakers. And a lot of the kids that I went to like middle school with, their parents would buy them all these sneakers. My parents were never really like that. So when I got a job, the first thing I wanted to do was make up for the trauma that I had from not getting all these cool sneakers. So I started to buy shoes. And as I started to buy shoes, I started to realize that you can make a ton of money selling these shoes and reselling. So I remember it like it was yesterday. I was about 16 or 17. I had just enough money saved up for my job. It was about 3 a.m. and I drove to the mall in Cool Springs. It's about 15 minutes away from my office now. And I waited in line for these sneakers for like 7 or 8 hours. Didn't get any sleep, just chugged Red Bulls and stayed up and, got these shoes. I bought them for $100 and then I flipped them on eBay for 900 or 1,000 and I was hooked. I was just like, this is awesome. I'm making way more money than my job because I was getting paid just above minimum wage at my job. And I was like, okay, now I'm in the game. So I started going pretty hard on that and basically turned it into like a full-time job. And it was super fun. But I was at this point where I wasn't smart with managing my money. And I was still a kid, man. So I kind of burned out on that. Even though I did have some success with it and made a lot of money, it just stopped clicking. The game got a little bit harder. A lot of more people started to figure out about it. And I just kind of stopped doing it. So I had a family friend. I call him my uncle, but he's more of a family friend who I got an opportunity to go work with in Kansas City for the summers. So he was like, hey, man, I want to give you a summer job. You can just come out here and live with me, work with me. I was living in Tennessee at the time. And so I did that. So I went out and started working with him. He's in the business called closeouts. So you might be familiar with closeouts since you're in the e-com world. But basically, it's when you buy massive freight that's been damaged or, it didn't get to its destination or things like that. And then you resell them online for a profit. So imagine like you're drop shipping stuff and the people that work in the warehouse at your stuff. That's what I did. So I worked in the warehouse and packaged up boxes because I tell the story and people are like, oh man, you had the gravy train. You had this great opportunity. Well, I was like working in the summer heat in a warehouse. So if
Right.
you want to call it that, you can. But so basically, I'm just working out in this warehouse and then just learning entrepreneurship. And it was a super fun experience and opportunity. And I learned a lot because I wasn't raised in an entrepreneurial household, and I just got to see like success in entrepreneurship firsthand. And it was this weird business model that, like, I guess the way I was looking at it was like, I'm doing this weird niche thing that like the average American doesn't even know exists.
Yep.
And this guy is killing it with this business model, making multi-millions a year. So I was like, well, cool. And maybe I can start some weird niche thing and, build a big business off of it. So I remember it was a Friday night. We were at Bonefish Grill. He has 2 little kids and he has a wife, and we all of us were there. And I asked him, I was like, PJ, like, I've got some money saved up because I was working like 80 hours a week and I didn't really have any friends there. And, I'm not old enough to go out. So I was just stacking up money like a
Sure.
madman. And I was like, PJ, I have a bunch of money saved up for a 17-year-old. What should I do? What business? And he's like, dude, I can't tell you what business you need to start. You need to just do a little bit of research and figure out what sounds best to you. And I remember at the time, I was like kind of pissed. I was like, darn it. Like, I wish this guy would have just given me the formula and then I could just try to go figure it out. But looking back on it, I'm very glad that he didn't, because that could have put me in something that I really didn't want to do. Right. So I started just to do some research. And around that time, this is how things all start to fall in place. I got an opportunity to manage my cousin's social media, his Facebook account. So I was like, okay, well, he was a DJ, so I just managed his stuff. It was for free, but I was just doing some free work and just creating some content and doing some stuff. And I was like, man, this is super fun. I'm getting to work for my laptop. I'm really my own boss. And then I just started to try to go out and get social media management clients. While I was doing that, I started to really invest heavily into self-education and following the whole online marketing space. So I started to study the game of online marketing, and I figured the best way I could really get connected in the space and start to build my name was if I started a podcast. So I started the podcast while I was getting the social media management clients. And a lot of people, I guess, kind of had this idea that when I was first starting the podcast, I was like already killing it. That was not the case at all. I was just trying to build my social media management agency and just trying to get things off the ground. So I made some really hot connections out the gate, like started to connect with dudes like Ricky Gutierrez, and Casey Adams became a friend. And I became like pretty well connected and started to know a lot of people. The more people just the more opportunities start to flow in. So I
How,
started to get,
if you don't
sorry.
mind, how did you actually reach out to them? Because I know a lot of people listening to this are
Yeah.
probably like, they go and find your podcast and you're, highly ranked, well known, have interviewed all these people now. And, I think that people are probably curious as to, how did you even go about doing that? And like the idea to start that's actually genius. When you think about it, at the end of the day, it's putting yourself out there. So how did you go about actually initiating that?
Well, basically, I just figured Instagram DM would be the best medium. So I had another job at the time when I would go back for the school year. So I worked at a grocery store, and I don't actually tell the story a lot. I don't know why. I guess it's one, like, life sometimes goes by so fast you just forget all the stuff happened, goes right over your head.
Right.
But so I would stock like dairy shelves and like frozen stuff. So I would just be in the back with my headphones on, and I just used to listen to the Rise of the Young 24/7, Casey Adams podcast. And I remember he had this. It was talking about the power of a DM. And I was like, I wonder if this is actually true. So I just started to reach out to people, and I wasn't getting discouraged. I think so many people, the reason they fail is they get discouraged too easily. And I didn't get discouraged. I was just like, okay, why would this person respond to me? Like, what reason did I give them to respond to me? So I was just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to keep reaching out to people. And I started to garner a little bit of following. What ended up happening was Ricky Gutierrez's business partner, Justin, ended up following me on Instagram. And then they gave me the opportunity. They wanted to fly me out to Arizona, which was super cool. They're just cool guys. So I just got lucky there. But they flew me out. I did the interviews with them. And then Ricky posted me a few times on his Instagram. He's got a huge organic following. And people would just started to notice. And the right people started to notice too. So like his connections, his friends. And then from there, you build on those connections. So after you get around one player, it's really not that hard to grow your network from there. You just got to find that one person you can get in with. And then you'll pretty much be on to not only a new friend group and a lot of new opportunities, but like some new knowledge and some new things that you would have never learned in the past. And basically, I was running them social media management company, and it was so churn and burn. Anybody that runs an agency knows it's churn and burn. That's just how it works. But the social media management stuff was like really churn and burn. Like 1 to 2 months, I was keeping clients max. So I was just like, I got to get out of this, and I got to find something that can command a little bit more income. So that's when I started to get onto some digital marketing stuff. Started to learn from like watch some Sam Ovens, watch some Jeremy Haynes stuff, E-Man, and some of these guys are now my friends, which is really cool. And started to learn about Facebook ads, and then just started to invest heavily into learning about Facebook ads. Just basically took all the money that I had, learned Facebook advertising and how to run an agency and sales and all that kind of stuff. And
Sure.
then just me and Adam kind of partnered up, and then just full-fledged jumped into the marketing stuff.
No, it's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you guys are killing it. So
Thank you.
if you haven't, check them out for sure.
Thank
Um,
you.
so with where you're at now, one thing that I'm actually curious. So how old are you at this point?
20. I turned 20 in July. Adam and I actually have the same birthday, July 18th.
That's funny. You ended up a
Yeah.
partner of the same birthday.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, happy, very belated.
Thank
But yeah. So I mean, with where you guys are at, right? You just moved to do a new office, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Things seem like they're going really well for you. With how you're positioning things, how you're moving forwards. What do you see the future being? Only 20. Have really plugged yourself into a great network.
Yep.
Have I think for your age, especially. I mean, there's a lot of people I think that don't have the foresight when they're younger to go into ecom or go into entrepreneurship in general, right? Whether
Yep.
it's ecom, digital marketing, the opportunities online are massive because
Yeah.
your reach is incredible, right? With
Right.
the grocery store, they have a fire code, they have limits of how many people can be in that store in that capacity.
Right.
Same thing with a local newspaper article, whatever that is. But for you, like your opportunities are kind of endless, and you've pivoted a few
Yeah.
times to make this work. So, what do you see the future being for you?
Yeah. That's a great analogy, by the way. I didn't know where you're going with that. That was a
Yeah,
really good one. So, I actually have this journal that I keep. It's on Amazon, and it's the first journal that I've dedicated myself to using. But it basically, at the beginning of it, you write out your 10-year plan. And for me, I want to be somebody that's in the software and tech world. That's really interesting to me. But
sure.
that's a game that you got to like. Either you have to start being like a hyper genius when you're like 12 and like you're writing programs and doing all that stuff, or you just have to like really build up some value and some past experience. So I feel like I'm in that stage right now. I'm just building up my value to the marketplace, showing people that I can build businesses successfully, and whether it's exit those businesses or sell those businesses. So right now I'm just really focused on building out the agency and building up what we do one-on-one with realtors. So it's really the way we build out offers, and the way we build out, we build out everything separately just to increase the value. So we have our offer for real estate coaching one-on-one, which is called Realtor Domination. And then we have our agency where we, service personality brands. We service some loan officers, insurance officers, real estate agents, hands-on. We're kind of wide in our reach just because of my network, and we've been fortunate enough to learn from a lot of different people. So we kind of have a lot of different skills.
Sure.
So I'm really just trying to build up the agency right now to a point where we can eventually one day sell, probably,
Yep.
or I can just kind of bring on a bigger team. But I think that the agency space right now is really interesting in terms of building a big agency. Like I like to look at what Mute 6 did. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them out in California. They have a really interesting strategy, and they build a good brand. But right now, my main focus is building my personal brand and just and my health. So like last year, we were really focused on doing as much outreach as possible, and I have 2 full-time people that do outreach, and they just go hard. But I found that I just want to build my personal brand so I can have more of an organic web of how I get clients. Because looking back on it, most clients, about 90% of our clients, were from referrals and from my personal brand. So I just want to double down on building that brand and doing some stuff on YouTube. And then I'm just trying to get in shape, because I feel like when you're in shape, you're just more and this is full transparency, you're just more confident on camera. You're more confident in sales encounters, meetings, stuff like that. So I got a full-time personal trainer now. I'm really focused on that because last year I was building my business really fast, and I just had a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, and it wouldn't have been a sustainable thing. So I just kind of taken back a little bit. And what I'm noticing, Tom, is like, I was such an idiot that I didn't listen to what anybody had to say, because I was, quote unquote, too smart. Like all my mentors were like, dude, I'm telling you, if you just focus on getting in shape, everything else will fall into place. And I was just like, yeah, right, dude. Like, what? That sounds like some hippie stuff. There's no way that's true. But now I'm doing it, and it's, let's see, 17 days into 2020, and we're going to have our biggest month again this month. And I've been working 8 hours a day max. And in retrospect, was working 12 or 14 and eating terribly. And now I'm on a diet and a meal plan. I'm working out every day. So I've been really focused on that. And now I'm going to just start to put all the pieces together to build a personal brand. And we got the new office now that's pretty big. So we're going to be able to make some really cool content. And I'm just trying to figure that side out to kind of turn that into a client machine where we can build a personal brand and find clients that we want and people that are going to be fun to work with and that we can really, really help instead of just being outreach and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And, I mean, I'm a huge advocate, as you know, with, mind body connection. And I know it
Yeah.
does sound kind of ridiculous in the personal development space. I mean, I think a lot of people like talk about that because it
Yeah.
is hard to necessarily correlate going to the gym and how much money your business made that month or whatever else too. But once you kind of see, you have a routine, you have discipline, there's things that you go and kind of knock out
Yeah.
and prioritize, things do fall into place and it definitely changes.
Well, and also like you just feel aligned and like if you really look into like neuroscience, if your brain feels off, like you will feel off.
Right.
So it's really interesting because I just felt there was just days and a lot of stints last year where I just felt weird just because I wasn't aligned. And now
Right.
I'm just feeling healthy. I'm feeling happy. I'm excited and I'm just 100% everywhere I'm at. So I'm really enjoying this whole gym thing. And I'm just thinking like I wish I would have done this 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I'm really starting to get into this, and it's becoming like I'm very serious about it. And like even my personal trainer Jay is like, dude, you're asking more questions than anybody I've ever worked with. It's like I'm just gonna go into this thing with full tenacity, and now I'm confident enough in my abilities with building the business that I know that I can allocate some time and still get out even more out of the business and still continue to do well with the business.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing in summing it up, and you can, dispute this if you want. I think for me, what I've really realized over the course of time is that, your self-confidence is really self-trust. And
Uh,
that's what I found the gym does, right? If
yeah,
you say you're going to go and you go do that, all right, like I know I'm going to go do that. I check that box and I'm going to go do
right,
that repetitively. And I think it's the same thing with business. Like when you start out in business, you're probably not going to be that confident trying to start, whether it's e-com or an agency or whatever you're trying to do. You're going to fail a few times. And if you, let that kind of really hit home and don't keep pushing, then it's going to kind of reflect back, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing, dude. Like a lot, and I think I'm lucky because in the grand scheme of things, and you had pretty much the same experience. We had about a year where we went from like zero to like building a six-figure business, like multiple six-figure business, and I feel like I was like, dude, I don't know how much longer I can do this. I'm getting punched in the face.
Right.
And it's like, you look at most businesses, the average business doesn't break even or break profit till year 5.
Right.
And I'm like, year 1, I'm like, my head's going to explode. So I think that like, I was very fortunate, and I know you can relate to this, in having success like rather quickly in the grand scheme of things. And it was still super hard. So
Right.
I'm like, it's just there's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations to building a big business, and it's going to be super uncomfortable a lot of times. But once you've got the things in place, it's awesome and it's super fun. But you just really have to be willing to not let a lot of because a lot of stuff that happens very rarely falls back on us. You know what I mean? It's like when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, like not everything's your fault, but you have to assume that it is, and you have to take responsibility for the things that go wrong
Mhm.
because if you don't, you're never going to do well. And it's definitely there's a lot of challenges, and if you can't get comfortable failing, like we had a client that refunded this week, and it was the first time and that's ever happened. And the whole as many 60 plus customers that we've processed through Stripe and all this stuff. It's the first person that said, "Hey, I want a refund," and I was like, I don't know what to do. And I told Adam, I was like, oh my goodness, dude, like what's going on? And then I kind of took back for a second. I was like, this is the level that we're playing at. Stuff like this happens. Like,
Mhm.
how often do you think this happens at the big companies? So, there's going to be things that happen, and it's like a real emotional roller coaster. But you just have to learn to enjoy the highs and realize that the lows are a part of the process. And I think that that'll keep you in the game. But a lot of people just they get discouraged by it, and they want to take the easy way out. But you just have to realize that it's all a part of the process, and there's going to be trials. And it's going to be hard, but like that's a part of building something good. Like if you look at the people that are the most comfortable in life and probably the people that are just the most content and satisfied are people that have never really done anything. Like dudes that just hang out and say, okay, I'm cool with making 40K a year and I want to drink Miller Lite on Thursday night and that's going to be my life. there's people that are like that and they're content because they never get uncomfortable. Like, how uncomfortable can that be? It's not. But the people that are incredibly successful, like Jeff Bezos, you know, he's had some terrible things happen to him. Ray Dalio went on TV and predicted a financial crisis that never happened. And it almost completely removed him from the game. And it made him look like a clown. So like, there's a lot of massive uncomfortability and massive lows that you'll hit, but it's only going to make the highs. You're going to appreciate them more and they're going to feel better. So you just have to kind of be focused on that.
100%. Yeah, if it's not challenging you, it's not changing you. And I think that you need to constantly be evolving, especially in today's age where things are changing so quickly.
Yeah.
So John, let me ask you this. If there's someone right now that is interested in going to the digital marketing space or, you know, interested in starting an agency, what are kind of your 3 pieces of advice for them kicking it off, you know, in 2020?
So when people ask me this question, I interviewed Frank Kern. And if people in the marketing space or advertising space know Frank Kern, I was like, so Frank, because I was super nervous and, you know, I was 19 at the time and Frank's like this godfather of marketing and I've read so much of his material and watch all his stuff. And I look up to this guy and I'm like, so Frank, what advice would you give to somebody looking to start an agency? And Frank goes, don't do it, man. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know what to say right now, but no, it was super funny. But I mean, okay, here's the deal. Here's what anybody that's looking to start an agency would tell them to focus on 3 things: appointments, sales, results. If you can lock down those 3 things, you're going to have a successful agency. You're going to have a 6, 7, 8, 9-figure agency. You're going to be able to take it to the moon. But the problem is if you look in the agency space, there's 3 things people struggle with: appointments, sales, and results. They don't take it. They're like, how do I get appointments? Okay, I got a meeting. How do I close them? Okay, I got a client. How do I get results for them? So those would be my 3 pieces of advice. Like, going to have to master all 3 of those regions. And if you can't master those regions, you're going to have some deep pockets to find some people who can. So we have been, and this is something that the agency gurus that they hate because it takes away from their credibility and it takes away from what they teach.
Sure.
But you're really only going to be able to cast so wide of a net. What I've found, so wide of a net when you're doing outreach, because you have to think, guys, there's so many people doing automation and doing outreach and doing Facebook groups and doing all this stuff. And you're going to get clients that way. Like, you can build a 6-figure agency doing that, but you're going to need to build up a personal brand if you want to get in the space, which is a long-term play. And you're going to need to get referrals and network. Cause I'm in a more affluent area. Our office is in Franklin, Tennessee. I mean, we can go out and meet people and they'll turn into clients. I went to networking events. I have a friend who's a member of this like exclusive kind of club thing. And I go with him all the time and I meet people there and we set meetings and some of those meetings turn into clients. So networking is a big thing. And I still believe it's a big thing. If you're in Zimbabwe, that doesn't help you very much and you're going to have to do the outreach. But like, in terms of sit down meetings, Adam and I have like an 80% close rate when we actually get to sit down face to face with somebody. Sure. It just works. So building the personal brand and the networking stuff, it works really well, but you're going to have to do a lot of the outreach and you're going to get discouraged. Like, people aren't going to open your messages. People are going to curse you out. It's going to suck. But there's still like the viable ways that businesses were built on are still the same with these new age client-based business models. Like, you know, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Businesses are built from cold calling. Businesses are built from cold messaging and outreach and asking for referrals. But you just have to find out whatever works best for you. Because for me, I have a very outgoing, audacious personality. My personality can't really be transferred into somebody through a message. Right. So if I'm on the phone with somebody or I'm able to get on a Zoom or I'm able to, you know, talk to them in person, we're a lot more likely to close a client from that. You just have to know, and that's one of the biggest things I've learned about entrepreneurship. You just have to learn your personality type. Go to 16personalities.com. It takes 20 minutes to take the test. Learn who you are. That's going to be one of the best investments you'll ever make. And then from there, find out what you're going to be best at. Because I'm a person that's kind of introverted. I'm kind of extroverted. So the agency business model is great for me. I'm able to work behind a computer. I'm able to be isolated, but I'm also able to get in front of people and network and close deals and talk to people and interact. So it's been a perfect split for me. So you just kind of have to find out what's best for you. But that'd be my 3 takeaways, even though I really kind of went into a long rant there. But you're going to have to focus on appointments, sales, results. And then you're gonna have a really good framework for being successful.
One other question I have for you, and this is one thing I've heard a lot, is especially when you're getting started, right? You have no results yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing. If you can't prove you can go and perform this task, what is your take on doing it for free for a month? Getting, $500, $1,000 ad spend. Make sure it's sufficient. Don't get like $100 because you're not going to get results. But do it for free for, a client with the intention that,
Yeah.
obviously prefacing that conversation that if I perform for you, this is kind of the retainer. This is what I want to move forward with. But I know there's mixed trains of thought on that. It's like, I'm not going to work for free, but then there's also like you got to go and actually develop the skill sets and actually show you.
100%. So one of my mentors, Judge Graham, he actually tells people to go get two to four clients for free and just work for them. I don't think that's a bad strategy. I was a little bit lucky because I had already built up some experience in the social media management space, and we had some clients that were close friends, and they were letting us test some things out, and they were willing to try just because they liked us.
Sure.
Which some people are going to be in that situation. You can also go bring on a contractor who will work for $500 to $1,000 a month, and he'll deliver really, or he or she, excuse me, will deliver really well. So it just depends. What I like building a team, and I like having skills in-house. If you look at big companies, they brought on consultants for a few things, and they brought on contractors for a few things, but they preferred to build solid foundations in-house. So that's why me and Adam just invested a lot of money into learning, and then we were comfortable enough to go on and accept clients, and we knew we'd be able to produce results. So that was kind of our train of thought and what we did. But there's a few ways you can do it. You can work for free, or you can bring on contractors. But I recommend to learn as much as you can in the beginning. Watch videos on YouTube, go through the whole Facebook blueprint, just learn everything about everything. So when you bring on a contractor, you have the basic knowledge to be able to say, look, man, I know you said you can do all this, but what about this here? What about this? Or this headline looks weird. Or, hey, are you going to run dynamic creative here? Like, all that kind of stuff. So you can actually check their work and know that they're doing a good job, because you're never going to be able to really outsource if you don't know what you're looking for. So like, you're never going to be able to critique somebody if you don't even know what's right and what's wrong. So just get a
100%.
basic understanding and then go from there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's the same thing in the e-com space. I mean, how can you know that someone's, really optimizing your listing or really finding viable products or,
Right.
numerous things, right? There's a lot of
Right.
people that I think, just because you have capital and you can throw money at something doesn't necessarily mean it's the best play.
Right.
I'd rather get punched in the mouth for a month and, not really perform well, but have a really good understanding of it
Yeah.
and then delegate that out.
Yeah.
And speaking to that too, I mean, you've grown rapidly. And I think also with what you're saying between mentors and having a team with people that have different strengths and bringing that together really allows you to leverage that and move forward. And I think that there's a huge thing right now with, kind of solopreneurship. Is
Yeah.
that's really what's really portrayed on social media and things like that. And the further I've gotten into the e-commerce world, the further I've gotten into, entrepreneurship, it's sure you can get so far by yourself, but if you want to move and you want to move fast, it helps to know the right people and also be willing to give up control of certain things.
Yeah. I mean, I've learned, just read a lot of business books, and I've done a lot of business stuff. So I have all these methodologies that I guess for the next, hopefully 50 years that I'm in business, or 40 years, I'll either learn that my methodologies are great or that they're complete dog crap. So one of my biggest things is like, I don't think the CEO should be great at everything. Like, I'm not great at Facebook ads. I'm good at Facebook ads. I understand how Facebook advertising works. Adam is great at Facebook ads. So, like, if you look at an orchestra and a choir, I always try to use this analogy, and I always forget I guess the conductor, right? The conductor is not great at all those instruments. It's impossible for he or she to be great at all those instruments, but they're great at putting the group together and knowing what sounds good. So that's what I think the CEO should do, is be able to be good at a bunch of stuff and have a competency in all this stuff. And that's what I learned from my first job working right next to the founder of the company. He would be like, hey, man, the printer's messed up. Even small stuff. The printer's messed up. Here's how you fix it. Hey, don't tape the box like this. Do it like this. Or, hey, man, we got something messed up with our code. We got to get this fixed. Like, excuse me. He would do all these things, and he was good at all these things. But he was also really good, if not great, at putting people together who really excelled at those things. So I think that's the job of a CEO, is being able to put groups of people together and really be able to orchestrate a large group of people to go towards a goal, and to keep those people fired up and keep those people, all synced in to going and achieving that goal.
100%. So, John, thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Thank you so much for having me, man.
The one thing I'm going to ask you, with people that want to just get into entrepreneurship, regardless of what it is, with everything that you've learned, with everything you've built, everything you've done, what would be the one thing that you would tell them kicking off kind of their entrepreneurial journey?
I would say just you need to read some book. This is hard. One thing is kind of hard. I'm going to go off a couple.
Yeah,
I wish I would have got into the whole health stuff earlier. Like I said, I wish I would have just started doing that before because I'm getting disciplines in place. And also, if you go to a nice gym, you're going to meet some good people. And I think it's all about meeting people. Network as much as you can, and just learn as much as you can about yourself, and then get into personal development. Not the cliche like get motivated personal development, but like actually learn about how your brain works. Read books like Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Read books about neuroscience by Joe Dispenza. Like learn how your brain works, because then you'll realize why you're framed the way you are, why you have the beliefs that you think you are. And a lot of stuff that you believe and you think you believe, you'll realize that that's not even your own beliefs. So like you'll learn about your subconscious mind and how strong that stuff is. And you'll really start to optimize on a whole different level, and you'll start to become like a superhuman in a lot of ways. So just learn about yourself. That's the best thing you can do. And just, don't get shiny object syndrome. If you chase 5 rabbits, you'll catch none. But just do some research. If you think you want to go into one of these traditional business or one of these traditional online business models, do some research. Cause like, what Tom's doing is working super well for him. If I needed some help, I'd go to Tom. But like, for me, well, it's working super well for me, right? So it's all about how you're wired, how your personality is, and it's all about studying. And maybe you might not want to go into a business model that's like drop shipping or marketing or uh, wholesaling or anything like that. Maybe there's something else that's interesting to you that you want to get into. You can probably build a profitable business model with it. So don't feel pigeon-toed just because there's these online businesses that you could start. If you want to go do something else, do something else. But learn about yourself, take control of your health, get in shape, just start meeting some people and figuring yourself out and figuring out what you want to do.
awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.